These lenses suck, and I'm gonna tell you why. Just look at these chonkers. They're huge, they're heavy, and sometimes they're even bulbous. Don't get me wrong, these lenses are amazing, but they're kind of a trap. What ends up happening when you get a few of these lenses is a bit counterintuitive, at least in my experience. My camera bag started getting so filled up with these big lenses that I just stopped carrying my camera around, and I ended up shooting way less. I thought maybe I just didn't like photography anymore, and then I realized it was just because everything was just too big, and I just didn't like carrying the bag anymore. Oh no. Am I blown out? Am I blown out? I'm just gonna flow with it. We'll see. I recently imported every single photo that I've ever taken onto my Lightroom, and I've realized I actually love all my old photos, and I'm not very happy about any of my new photos. The rise of smartphones, these cameras are pretty good, and I can get by with this most of the time, except for the times I can't, and that's why I still miss having my camera with me. I know you iPhone users are gonna try chirping me because it's a Samsung, but honestly, I love this camera still, especially now that most media consumption is now on a 5-inch display. It's kind of hard to perceive the differences between a camera like this and a camera like this. This is a mirrorless camera, and the thing with mirrorless cameras was that they were supposed to be compact, which they are, but that's only half the equation. Lenses, on the other hand, were not small, and there was very few lenses that were designed to be compact and lightweight. So I traveled a fair bit, and I experimented with different lens combinations to figure out what I actually like traveling with. So when I first started traveling, I bought the trifecta of zooms. I bought a 24-70, I bought a 16-35, I had a 70-200, and I had a handful of big primes in my bag too. And my bag was probably about like 30 pounds easily once I had like lenses, filters. Oh my god, this lighting sucks in here. I gotta fix this. Come on, come on, come on. After a day of hiking or walking around the city or wherever I was doing that day, I ended up carrying way too much stuff, and I would only end up using 1 or 2 of the lenses anyways because it was such a procedure to change out lenses that unless I really couldn't take the shot that I wanted to take with that lens I had on at the time, I would just not change lenses at all. When I was carrying all those lenses was that I had everything I needed when I needed it. And so my photo satisfaction was like a 10 out of 10, but my photo shooting experience was like a 410. The quality of life just wasn't there. So I tried this guy. This guy, if you haven't seen this before, is our RX100. This is the Mark V. There's a lot of different versions of the camera, but this was my favorite version. It's a little tiny compact point and shoot that's just loaded with features. Has a 1-inch sensor, a 24-70 built in. It's an f1.8 to 2.8. There's a lot of just crazy stuff in here. It has a little tiny pop-up flash and a pop-up viewfinder. I actually loved this little camera, and it became my go-to for a lot of situations. The only issue with this camera was I wasn't really fully satisfied with the photo quality in the end. And the thing is with this camera is that it doesn't need to just be in the fanny pack. It fits comfortably in my pocket. Just look at that, that's crazy. I brought this camera all the way around Vietnam on a little scooter, and I just loved it. It was just so convenient to use. It was just pop in, pop out, and it was always ready to go. I just loved this level of convenience, and I knew when I was gonna switch back to my full frame camera, it had to be that easy. Otherwise, I would not use it. With this camera alone, I've probably taken 3 times more photos on that trip than I probably would have with just my regular camera. The only caveat with this camera though was that even though that the shooting experience was a 1010, the photo quality experience was about a 510. It wasn't to the level that I actually wanted the photos to be at the end. So fast forward 4 years after using these cameras, and I realized I did want to go back to these guys, but wanted to make it feel like I was shooting with this camera, and I found a few things. Let me just get this all. Now that the Sony ecosystem's been out for a while now, a lot of manufacturers are starting to realize people want small, lightweight lenses. I'm gonna show you some new options. So Tamron's releasing these new zoom lenses that have some really weird focal lengths, but I'm really liking them. Tamron's releasing this new lens that's gonna be a 17-50mm f4. And it's gonna be awesome. Somehow they're making magic. It's combining an ultra wide lens and pretty much a standard zoom lens into one lens, and it's an f4, so it's gonna be super lightweight. I think it's supposed to be 400 grams or something like that. They also have this other lens that they released last year that's a 20-40mm f2.8 lens, and it's even lighter than the other lens. It's 360 grams. Just to put that in perspective, Sony's 24-70 G Master lens is over 880 grams and weighs more than both these lenses combined. Sigma released their new I-series lenses, and they are these really cool retro cinema style lenses that are just awesome. They're all metal construction, and they have this manual aperture ring that just feels so good. They all have this magnetic lens filter, which maybe is a little bit gimmicky because I don't know if that's really that useful, but they're really cool. Just to put these lenses into perspective, this is Sigma's 35 f2 lens, and this is Sigma's 35 f1.4 Art Series lens, and this lens is probably over double the size of this lens for one stop difference. Insanity. And the crazier thing is that these lenses even get smaller. This 45 f2.8 lens is the same size as my SD card reader. This is a crazy lens. Laowa, Laewa, Laiowa, Lawawa, Lawa. You might not recognize them, but they make some really cool lenses like this probe lens. And this lens is that lens that makes this shot. Their line is filled with a lot of random niche in-between lenses that are just crazy. I don't even know who they're making lenses for. The reason why I bring them up is because they make the widest ultra-wide lenses that aren't fisheye at a whopping 9mm. I don't actually have that lens, but I do have their 11mm lens, which is pretty close. This is one of my favorite ultra-wide lenses. But look at the size of this thing. This thing is tiny. It's 250 grams, and it's about the size of that 45mm lens I brought up earlier. This is my Peak Design 3-liter bag, and it's packed to the brim with so much gear in here. Just like, look at this. I managed to fit an A7R in here, but 20-75. I also have a 35 f2 prime lens in here. I also got that Laowa 11mm lens into the setup. And just to top that all off, I even managed to fit in my Sony compact flash in there. And then the front pocket holds all the batteries and SD cards and whatever stuff, which I'm not gonna get into. And I'm just loving how these manufacturers are now making equipment so small that I can fit it all into this small bag and comfortably travel with that. I'm actually willing to grab my camera bag and just go out the door and take photos at whatever friend or family event. It's just so much more satisfying to shoot with this setup. And I know there's other ecosystems like Olympus and Fuji that are awesome lightweight ecosystems, but the thing is I do a lot of photo and video work, and I can't really do both of those well on those ecosystems. And I know Fuji's video is coming up and doing a lot better now, but I just don't believe in their focusing system to the same I trust Sony systems. That being said, I'm also a massive Sony fanboy from day one, and I'm really glad that manufacturers are starting to realize that people really want these compact and lightweight lenses, and I can't wait to see what new options are going to come out to the market. I really appreciate that you guys made it this far into the video. I don't even know, how do you wrap up a video? I'm just wrapping up this video, but I just want to say, if you like this video, I'm going to be making new content. Give me a like or a subscribe, and I'll be posting a new video soon. Ciao.